Good morning, students and friends. Today will not be a normal lectures and studies that is concerns physics, but I just discovered that many students are not interested in studying physics. Many don't want to hear about that subject, maybe because of their background from the secondary section. But I want to take out this time to educate our students, the upcoming students, both at the secondary level and in the tertiary institutions of learning. When you hear about physics, many students are scared. I can't do it. It's not doable. It's difficult. No, there is no subject that is difficult, and at the same time, there is no subject that is simple. It now depends on your interests, how much effort you will put or you have put into the subject. So, many students are compelled either by their parents or by the circumstances around them. Let me explain this. Sometimes parents will force their students, you must study this, you must read this, medicine and surgery, engineering, and so on. You first of all have to know the interest of your child. That is what I mean by compelling. Then the circumstances. Some of the students, maybe they applied for medicine and surgery, applied for engineering, this and that, and maybe they are rejected. Then they come back to study physics. And this physics, sometimes you may not even have to study a course that has to do with physics, but at times you have to offer that course because maybe it's a general course and many students are not always happy when they hear that physics. So I want to let us know this morning that physics is doable, it is simple, it depends on how you approach it. So I want us to look at the secrets of studying and understanding physics. That is what the video will be all about, the secrets of studying and understanding physics. I'll mention just 5 key things. One, we have to master the fundamentals, the basis. You know, being a secondary school student, you have to start somewhere. Maybe SS1, and that is the beginning of the physics. So if you don't know SS1 physics, if you don't pay attention to the fundamentals in that class, by the time you get to SS2, you start saying that this course is difficult, this subject is difficult. It's a step-by-step thing, approach. You must know the fundamentals, the basis. For example, the first topic rather, in physics is always units and measurements. So if you're not conversant with units, how to convert from one unit to another, how to take your measurement in the laboratory, you have missed out already. Because at all levels, physics has to do with units, calculations and this and that. That is what I mean by the fundamentals. You have to grab them. You have to know them. Then for those that are studying physics or have something to do with physics at the tertiary level, if you don't know these fundamentals, that is the beginning of your problem. So always grab the basic things, the fundamentals of physics, then you are good to go. And under that, you have to, someone will say, you have so many equations in physics, you have so many formulae in physics, how do you remember them? It is simple. If you don't know, if you know how to derive this formula, you don't need to memorize. And you cannot memorize in physics. You have to study and know. And that's the beauty of it. And then the experiments. If you are doing physics, it's what we call practical physics, both at the secondary and the tertiary level. But before you understand that practical, you must know the theory behind it. If you don't know the theory behind the practical you are doing, you will not understand it. Let me give you an example. Maybe you walk into the laboratory and they give you optical pins, drawing boards, thumb pins, maybe a rectangular glass prism, and then you have other things. And the instructions are issued out. Basically, maybe that's practical or experiments we have to um, do with maybe refraction. Do you know what refraction is? Refraction simply means the change in direction of a wave particle when there is a difference in density between the two media involved. What are the laws of refraction? So if you understand this, the experiment becomes simpler, because we know that we have different materials with different densities. We have air, that's a different density. We have that glass you are given, has different density. By the time a wave particle passes through air into the glass, it will change direction. And that is the experiment. So you need to know or understand the theory behind the experiment. Then number two, develop strong mathematical skill. You know, when you talk about mathematics, many students are scared. There's nothing to run away from it. This thing is constant practice. Sometimes you ask yourself, these people that have done this course, that have studied it to maybe PhD level, do they have two heads? The answer is no. By the time you practice, you review constantly, you start understanding. And by the time you start understanding this thing, you want to study more. That is just the truth about it. So develop strong mathematical skill, because mathematics is the foundation of studying physics. Number 3, practice problem solving. Focus on understanding, not memorizing. If you understand, if you study to understand, life becomes easier. I'm sorry to say this, physics is a course that when you are studying, you need to pay attention. You don't need distraction. You need a very quiet environment. It's not something like Bible that you can sleep on your bed and read it. By the time you are studying this, you are practicing. So, and that is, you are practicing problem solving. Learn how to approach this problem. Sometimes a question is given to you. You don't read to understand the question, what the question is all about. No. You need to approach the question systematically. Do you understand the question? What am I supposed to do? Which of the formula am I supposed to apply in solving this? The parameters, are they complete? Most of the times, the parameters might not be given to you directly. You have to look for one. So, and also practice regularly. The more you practice, the better you become. The more you practice, the better you become. And also seek help when needed. Do not hesitate to ask for help from your teacher or classmates. Let me shock you. Sometimes your classmates can explain a particular concept or topic better than your teacher. But many students are always shy. How can I ask my fellow classmate to explain, to teach me? No, that is not the way. Always ask for help. You don't know, that's the reason why you are learning. If you are in the class and the teacher or the lecturer is teaching, I call his or her attention. Do not hesitate to ask for help. Then number 4, connect physics to real life. Relate physics to everyday experiments. Physics is the study of matter and its relationship with energy. And everything you see around is a study of physics. And everything you learn, you study, try to relate it to everyday experience. For example, this refraction we talk about is something that we see around, we see every day. If you have maybe water in a container outside and you take something like a stick, insert into that container with water, that stick will appear to bend. But by the time you remove that stick, it will not bend. What has happened? That is refraction, change in direction of the ray of light. In that case, you have the ray moving from air into water, and they have different densities. So by the time it moves from air to water, it will change direction, and that is what is making the stick to appear like this bends, but it's not. So everything you study in physics, try to relate it to everyday experience. Look, for example, in your environment and so on. Then number 5, orders. I call it orders. Under this one, you pay attention in the class. Try to grab what the teacher or the lecturer is saying. But many students don't want to, most of the times, even when they're in that class, they don't want to pay attention, because many students, the truth is that many of them have given up. They say, even if I attend the lecture, will I understand? You will. You will. So pay attention in the class and also participate in the class discussion. Take your notes. It will shock you to know that many students, their notes are always not complete. Even in the tertiary institution, you see that some of them will just put their hand in their pocket and come for lectures. Don't have even writing material. So how will you, if you don't have the notes, have something to go back and revise, how will you now understand this the subject of the course? Review regularly. The truth is that many students, by the time they finish a lecture, they just dump the books until the next lecture. That is not how to study physics. Learn to review what you have been taught. Do I really understand it? And by the time you do this, you don't need to wait until when they say the exam timetable is out, or the WAEC is approaching, or NECO is approaching, that you start studying. No. If you want to make a good grade in the secondary level, you have to start from SS1, preparing from SS1, SS2. By the time you get to SS3, you are only revising. Even in the tertiary institution, if you want to make a good grade in the course, physics you are doing, from that day one, you have to start studying. So by the time they say the exam timetable is out, the date is fixed for the course, what you do is revision, not studying at that time. And that is one mistake many students make. They start reading when they say the exam, the paper has been scheduled for a particular date. And you see many students, they read all through the night. That time you are rather confusing yourself. Then another thing under these orders is find a quiet place to study. Minimize distractions. Always look for a quiet place to study. Just like I mentioned, some students just open their books, they are flipping. They want people to know that they are reading. So why are you deceiving yourself? Physics is not done that way. You don't study physics in that manner. They're very quiet. You study, practice. Then ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Then another thing is utilize online resources. These days, students are on advantage. You have a lot of resources online. The online classes, videos, YouTube, and so on. You can also seek help in that regard. Then get enough sleep. Good night rests can improve your ability to be focused. You study, by the time you know that you are tired, you are exhausted, sleep. By the time you sleep, you'll be ready for the studies. Take breaks. Don't burn yourself out by studying for a very long time without taking break. If you study, take break so that you'll be ready to carry out the next task as regards studying physics. So these are the 5 things that when you do them, you will study physics and understand it. Let me recap. You master the fundamentals. That is number 1. Number 2, develop strong mathematical skill. Number 3, practice problem solving. Number 4, connect physics to real life. Number 5 is others, where I mentioned pay attention, review regularly, ask questions, utilize online resources, and you get enough sleep. I hope this will help. So if you find this useful, please share it to your friends. Thank you.